Roll the camera. Okay. Scene 1, take 1.
Kia ora. Welcome to Kiwi News. I'm Sophie.
And I'm Jason.
Scene 1.
Today's story, a new crime wave, is sweeping the country in the form of woolen graffiti. Scientists have invented an invisibility cloak. We help them find it and the latest in weather around the country. But first, a story that will turn your world upside down.
If you think the world is getting more and more topsy-turvy, it turns out you're right. Builders in Germany have built an upside-down house. And before you think they may have read the plans upside down, they did it on purpose. The wacky abode was built as a tourist attraction, as well as being a comment on the state of the world. The house is 23 feet tall and rests on the roof and has steel beams inside the attic. Inside the house, there are beds screwed to the ceiling, upside-down wardrobes, an upside-down bath, an upside-down kitchen, and even an upturned bathroom, though it's not known if anyone has tried to have a bath in it or go to the toilet. Normally a house like this would take 3 weeks to build, but this one took over 4 months because workers kept getting confused by the strange angles of the walls. Many tourists visiting the house complain of feeling sick and dizzy just after a few minutes inside. We now cross over to our reporter Jade, who is inside this house. How are you feeling, Jade?
Thanks, Sophie. I'm here with the owners of the house, Sam and his auntie Javan, and I'm feeling a bit topsy-turvy. So, what made you decide to build this upside-down house?
We wanted to be different, and we thought we could have a new sort of tourist attraction rather than the same thing.
What comment do you feel the house makes about the state of the world?
Well, no matter what a house looks like, it's still a house.
What are some of the challenges of living in a house where the beds, bathrooms and kitchen are kind of on the ceiling?
The challenges are that we cannot have a bath in the bathtub, and we can't go toilet.
What are the highlights of having an upside-down house?
We are different from the rest and we get a lot of attention.
Thank you, Javan and Sam. Well, that's all from me. Now back to you, Jason, in the studio.
Thanks, Jade. Even watching that makes me feel a bit weird. And now for a story that is truly out of sight. Look out, Harry Potter. The world of science is catching up to the world of magic. Scientists in Europe have created a 3D invisibility cloak, which can hide objects by bending light waves. It has been found that light can be controlled using special tiny crystals that make objects disappear. So far, they have made small objects such as coins disappear, but hope that it won't be long before they are hiding cars, planes, and even people. People have always dreamed of making themselves invisible, one top scientist says. The possibilities are endless, and we are very excited. However, since inventing the invisibility cloak, the scientists have been having trouble finding it. As soon as we put it down somewhere, it just disappears, the inventor of the cloak said. It appears they are having trouble finding other things too, like their lunch, which they think might be underneath the cloak. What will this invention actually be used for? Hoping to see through the reasons behind the invisibility cloak. Here is our on-the-spot reporter, Nicole, with more on this story.
Nathan Taylor, one of the scientists behind the invisibility cloak. Hi Nathan and Taylor, and thanks for joining us today. What made you want to invent an invincibility cloak?
When I saw Harry Potter, it just made me want to watch.
Can you show me how the invincibility cloak works?
It's working right now.
What do you hope the cloak will be used for?
To prank people and fool them. It will be really funny.
How old were you when you came up with the idea of an invincibility cloak?
When I watched the Predator movie, something in my brain just clicked. I was about 10 and I just wanted to run around invisible.
Well, that makes things very clear. Thanks for joining us, and we're out of time. Over to you, Sophie, in the studio.
Thanks, Nicole. And now, how's this for an interesting yarn? A new wave of graffiti crime is covering the country, thanks to an underground gang known as the Midnight Knitters. These wool-wavering criminals are covering tree branches and lampposts with small jerseys and scarves under the cover of darkness. Police say the knitted activities of the gang are illegal because their woolly crimes are being done on public property without permission. The popularity of the woolen graffiti is growing, and more public objects are being wrapped up every night. But the problem is growing, and police say and warn that if the midnight knitters aren't caught soon, every tree that's lamp post and traffic light in the country will be warmly dressed against the cold. The problem is spinning out of control. They're a close-knit group of dyed-in-the-wool criminals. We are stitching together a case, but it's not seamless. There is no real pattern to the crimes, a police spokesman said today. So far, the knitters have escaped arrest and continue to pull the wool over the eyes of both the public and the police. We go now over to our secret location with our investigative reporter, Montana, who has an exclusive interview with one of the Midnight Knitters gang.
Thanks, Sophie. I'm Montana, and joining me in this top secret location are two members of the Midnight Knitters gang. Hello, Joseph and Tom, and thanks for joining us. What led you into the dark underworld of knitted graffiti?
Well, we joined a group on Facebook. It started off as a joke, but then we really got into it.
Do you see yourself as criminals?
No.
Why not?
Well, we think we're more of artists than criminals. We're just trying to brighten up New Zealand.
Apart from trees, lampposts and of course traffic lights, what else would you like to graffiti with your woolens?
Well, we're currently making woolens for goats.
How long have you been a part of the Midnight Knitters gang?
Well, since midnight.
Thank you for your time, Joseph and Tom of the Midnight Knitters gang. We now go over to Alex with the weather update.
Thank you, Montana. And good evening, New Zealand. Let's take a look at tomorrow's weather. Starting with the far north in Kaitaia, look out for some pretty flash flooding and raindrops as big as your head. If you're going outside, wear a hat. Moving down to Auckland, there'll be a mix of fair conditions and unfair conditions, but those are the conditions and you'll just have to accept them. There'll be no weather at all for the Bay of Plenty, but it's taking a short holiday, but it's expected to be back for the weekend. In Napier and Hastings, the weather will be sometimes changeable and sometimes not. We really have no idea what will happen there. In the Taranaki, a mild depression brings with it a very dull day, with no highlights at all. It'll be overcast and gloomy all morning, but things should cheer up by the evening, so don't worry, everything will be fine. In Wellington, there's another capital day. There'll be no wind at all, and the conditions will be so pleasant they'll actually be classed as extreme. On the top of the South Island, Kaikoura can expect to have a good day, meeting friends for lunch, going for a swim, and reading the daily newspapers, but try to stay indoors as the weather will be just terrible. A real mix for Christchurch, which will have some unreasonable rainfall, some sensible wind, moderate thunderstorms, and some very angry snow. In the lower south, Dunedin will be cold and frosty and unfriendly until late morning, when the sun will pop over for a visit. Everyone likes the sun. That's all from me. Remember, if it's raining outside, that's the weather for you. Good night, New Zealand. Now back to the news desk with Sophie and Jason.
Thanks, Alex. That's all we have time for.
We hope you've enjoyed this evening's broadcast. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Until then,
I'm
Jason.
And I'm Sophie, reporting for Kiwi News.
Goodbye and ohora.
I'm supposed to use you.
Ladies and gentlemen, roll the camera. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are featuring an interview with a very peculiar-looking gentleman.
Scene one, take one. Scene one, take two. Take two.